You know, there are satanic secret societies that have a major influence on almost every religion in the world. You know, I saw some pictures of these guys over in Afghanistan during the Iraq War. Full military gear, their camo, their helmets, their rifles, and their Masonic aprons. Standing on the checkered floor. They're right there with the people they're fighting, defending, whatever, because they have a lodge, right? Islam is influenced by the Shriners. A Haji temple, it's literally the same religion. They worship the same God, which is not the God of the Bible. It's the God of this world. The same thing the Catholics, through the secret societies of the Jesuits and the Rosicrucians and many others, they have total control. And there are people that don't understand this. They think Catholicism is good, but they don't understand that there are secret powers inside that literally worship the devil. It's full of perversion, and that's who's at the top in these things. You know, the Mormons. How many of you knew that the Mormons were started by Joseph Smith, a Freemason? His father was a Freemason. His brother, Hiram, was a Freemason. It was in their family. He created a huge lodge. They had all this influence. And the rise of the Mormon church and the rise of Masonry in that area, it went hand in hand. And the result was that you see their symbols. I mean, they literally use the same terminology, the same temple rituals. They have pentagrams on every single Mormon temple. Pentagram? I thought they're Christian. No. Maybe Christian in name only. Maybe they want you to deceive you and think that they're Christian. In fact, you know, it's funny because the Masons will use that phrase where we're warned that if an angel of light come and preach any other gospel, they actually use that to their advantage. See? Bearing light, that's a good thing. It's like, no, it's wicked. Read it in context. Right. But they don't understand. They're not. These things are spiritually discerned. You know, they also have, the Mormons actually have a series of handshakes to get into heaven. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can watch the entire ritual. I met two guys when I was working in Utah that were in Mormonism, and they had a lapel camera and a camera on their watch and a belt camera, and they went through the whole process. And they exposed it. And these videos are freely available on the internet, showing how it's all Masonry. It's the same symbols, the same terminology, the same secret words to get into the inner veil, and then you get in there and you just sit around. And this is what they teach. How do you get to heaven? You have to know a secret handshake. There are people that literally believe that. That's what they're trusting in. Well, they chuckle at you when you come to the door with the gospel of Jesus Christ because they think, I know the handshakes and you don't. Right? But they don't know God. And on that day, they will regret it. Yeah, on that day, it will be sorry for them because they will go to hell. They will burn forever because they've rejected the gospel of Jesus Christ. And Mormonism, and the result of Mormonism now, it's full of adultery, spiritual wifery. You have to have multiple wives. I mean, Joseph Smith wrote some very perverted things. Brigham Young, the guy that took over, he took some of his wives. They both had 20, 30 wives, very perverted, taking a wife and then taking her mom as a wife, taking sisters as wife, things that you go back to Leviticus and it says that is wicked. Those people should be put to death. Right. And that is Mormonism. Mormonism is wicked to the core, and it's full of abuse. It is full of homosexuality at the top, and they have child abuse and everything else. Hey, sounds just like Freemasonry. That's the same rituals and the same result you get from Freemasonry. Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah. How many of you knew that Jehovah's Witnesses were started by a Freemason? Yeah. This guy literally, I mean, Charles Taze Russell, his father was a Mason. His family was Masons. That's a different religion. And he thought, well, how can I make some money? Oh, look, I got this way. I got this new guy said this, and these people were looking for the return in the 1800s, and somebody's prophesied it would happen in the 1900s, and he jumps on board with the Adventist movement, and he creates his own religion. And it's full of wicked symbolism that to the untrained eye you would just look at it or glance at it or hear their doctrine and not understand why they don't understand. But the origin is Freemasonry. They use a cross and a crown symbol. Has anybody ever seen a cross and a crown? I've actually seen Baptist churches with this same symbol in Florida. And it comes from the York Rite of Freemasonry. There's two arches. They work together. They're working against us, essentially. The cross and the crown is one they use. The pyramid, of course, with the all-seeing eye. Charles Taze Russell is buried in a famous Masonic graveyard. with a pyramid gravestone. Listen, it's all Antichrist. If you know anything about Jehovah's Witness, they are anti-Jesus, they are anti-Christ, and this week, now more than ever, they're going to be out knocking doors. They're going to be out telling people, come to our resurrection service, or whatever they're going to call it, and they don't believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. They don't believe in the cross, they don't believe in the blood, they don't believe He's the Son of God that came to save the world. And they'll burn for that. They will burn for rejecting Him. It is an anti-Christ religion. And you know, this one hits a little home a little more, but Zionistic dispensationalism also has Freemasonic origins. Its roots are in the doctrines of the devil. It has the leaven of the Pharisees in it. Their dogma comes from the Rothschilds, Balfour Declaration. I mean, this is secret society to the core, and now you have a bunch of flag-waving so-called Christians running around saying, well, all I know is Israel. All I know is if you don't protect Israel, God will curse you. I had a guy that did this week, 2 weeks ago now, and it just blows my mind. I'm talking to my neighbor who doesn't believe in God. He's an atheist and he's proud of it. And his co-worker of 30 years was talking to us, and the atheist was putting me and this guy in the same camp. And it didn't take long for this Pentecostal to start saying, well, you and I aren't really on the same page. Well, no, we're not. Right. You worship the devil. Yeah. You practice the things of the devil.
That's right.
The doctrine, oh, as long as you've got Israel, you know, you're good with God. What, is that salvation? Believe in Israel and you'll be saved? Understand how wicked this is becoming in America. And listen, there are writings and there are things that have been stated that the Masons are trying to polarize the world and get you on one side, either of Palestine or of Israel, so that they can eliminate all religions and set up their Luciferian religion, so they can set up the Antichrist. And it makes sense. That's where they're going. They are co-opting all religions. And you know, dispensationalism, the whole goal in it is to support Zionism, a state of Zion. Well, what is Zion? I thought Zion was good in the Bible, right? Well, Zion was a territory, an area that David conquered. Zion is the place where there was a temple. Zion is a name for heavenly Jerusalem that will descend from God out of heaven when He rules and reigns the earth. But yet people have hijacked that term of Zion. So in Zionism, what they believe is they're going to bring in the kingdom of God by building walls and starting fires over in Palestine, over in the Middle East, over in what used to be Israel or Judah. Because listen, you can't just draw a line on a map and say, this nation is now Israel. You can't take people that are Russians that practice a pagan religion and say, well, this is Judaism. Okay, but this is what has happened in America. Most Christians are blinded. They're dumbfounded. They don't even understand what they're saying. And they're preparing to build Solomon's temple. Listen, this is at the core of Freemasonry. The very steps you go through to actually become a Mason include going through this symbology and hand symbols, saying that your own life is on the line here if you ever reveal the secret. And in it, you do this mock resurrection of a man that allegedly died during the building of Solomon's temple. How Solomon used magic, used his seal to bring this guy back. Well, what seal is that? That's the hexagram. That six-pointed star of Satan, right? The 666 that the Bible warns about. This symbol is at the core of Freemasonry, Luciferianism, Judaism, Zionism, and dispensationalism. And there's a bunch of Christians that are fooled by this. I hate it when I meet somebody that really is saved. They got the right gospel, but they're fooled by following the devil's people. It just blows my mind. But all I know is we got to support the devil's children. Are you kidding me?
Ridiculous.
It's idiot. I mean, listen, there is a new world order coming. They're building it now. The structure is here. It's 3 tiers. It's political, it's financial, and it is religious.